Before we conclude, we have seen the monoalphabetic ciphers, right? Additive, multiplicative, then affine, we call it as affine, rot 13, right? So next, we have also understood the importance of the larger key space. How do you increase the key space from additive to affine? How do we have increased the key space also we have seen. So another classical cipher we have is the Polybius cipher. It was invented by the Greek historian. And in this, we use this particular matrix, where in which, if you notice, you have A to Z alphabets, and each alphabet is having an equivalent number. How do you get the number is, corresponding, from the grid, you pick the alphabet. Say, take an example, A is represented as the corresponding numbers in the row as well as in the column heading. So A is 1, 1. Okay. So that is how you denote a cipher alphabet for the plain text alphabet, which is A. So the other few minutes back you asked this question, right? Whether my cipher alphabets comes from the same language, it depends upon the algorithm. So now if you look at how I have encoded A is encoded as 1, 1, 1, 1. Similarly, so attack, when you notice, so 1, 1, 4, 4, and this 4, 4 is for the T, right? So T is 4, 4, like that it goes. So it's a very simple cipher, Polybius cipher, and you may wonder that, so though it is a simple cipher, it was invented long back, but still it has found the application. It has found the application even in the war that happened during the Vietnam period, Vietnam War. Okay, so during Vietnam War, the people have used this particular cipher under the name tap code. So the prisoners who were captured and kept in the prison, when they want to communicate a message from one cell to the other cell, they used this code under the name tap code. So take an example, if there is a prisoner sitting in a cell tapping on the wall of the prison, and the other guy is able to listen, then if he taps, if he says 4 taps, a pause, 2 taps, that is equivalent to the alphabet. 4 taps and he is a pause, and then 2 taps R. So that is how they used to communicate secretly. Okay. So this is called Polybius cipher. Okay. Now the point is, you have to carefully understand, there is one tricky there. It's a cell of 5 cross 5, right? Matrix of 5 cross 5. So obviously it can accommodate 25 alphabets, right? But you have the language with 26 alphabets. So obviously you need to compromise on one particular cell, where in which the trick here is that here you have a cell with 2 alphabets sitting in the same cell, ij. So in the sense that this particular cipher takes I and j as same. So that means when you are performing the decryption, it is not a straightforward decryption. You consider I and see the text what you get. If it is an intelligible text, it is fine. Otherwise, replace that with J and then C. So that's how it should proceed, right? Are you able to follow? So IJ is considered as same. Okay. So that's the Polybius cipher. Now, based on this, we proceed further. We all observed that it's a monoalphabetic ciphers. What is monoalphabetic ciphers? You have one plain text alphabet that is substituted with another single plain text alphabet. Obviously, we said it leaves the room for natural language characteristics. Now, how do we mitigate it? Obviously, you need to go for 2 of these options. 1, encrypt multiple letters of plain text. So far what we did, you took one alphabet of the language A and encrypted that with the corresponding alphabet in the cipher text. That's all, right? That's what one-to-one mapping done. What it says, encrypt multiple letters. That means when you are doing this process, pick not one, then multiple alphabets. Are you able to follow? That is the first option. Otherwise, use multiple cipher alphabets. That means what? Not one-to-one relation, but rather one-to-many relation. Are you able to follow? One-to-many means what? A would get, from the plain text alphabet, would get multiple cipher alphabets. It could be D, it could be Z, multiple alphabets. Are you able to follow? So, encrypt multiple letters of plain text to cipher text, or what is that happening? You keep multiple cipher alphabets for one particular plain text alphabet. So, this is how you can mitigate the challenge that is there with the monoalphabetic ciphers. So, how do we do that? You look at this particular cipher. What that cipher says? Select multiple numbers by which to shift letters. What we did with the Caesar cipher? How many shifts we did? Classical Caesar? 3. Have we changed during the process? We picked 3 and that continued for the entire text. What it says? Select multiple numbers. So, take an example. I am picking multiple numbers of shift. Shift by 1, shift by 2, shift by 3. That means I take my plain text. First alphabet is shifted by, second alphabet is shifted by 2, third alphabet is shifted by 3. Shift 1, shift 2, shift 3 is over. My cycle is complete. So, for the next alphabet, again shift by 1, shift by 2, shift by 3. Are you able to follow? So, it is that for my first alphabet, what I did, C is equal to P plus 1 mod 26. In the case of Caesar cipher, the same rule holds for all alphabets. But in this case, second alphabet is C is equal to P plus 2 mod 26. What about third? P plus 3. What about fourth? P plus 1. So that means, see the first alphabet is A. For that, what is the alphabet you got? B. And it so happened that for this A, what is the alphabet you got? For this A, what is the alphabet you got? Okay. For this A, what is that you got? B. Okay. So, that happened because every time A came, that with a 3 alphabets positions difference. Now, let us take T. T. What is the alphabet you got? What is the T you take? What is the alphabet you got? That means, is it one-to-one relation? One-to-many. But if you observe only for A, that comes problem. Why? Because you are shifting by 3 and A has happened in a way that A is coming for every 3 alphabets. That's the reason why it happened for A. But if you observe for all other alphabets, it's a not one-to-one relation, it is a one-to-many relation. Are you able to follow? So, this is one of the example for multi-alphabetic cipher. Other classical cipher is the Playfair cipher, which is the example for multiple letter encryption. What is meant by multiple letter encryption? What is that previous slide I said? Either you can take multiple plain alphabets and map it to the cipher alphabet. That is one thing. Otherwise, take multiple cipher alphabets, map it. What is this one is the second scenario, right? I hope you guys remember these 2 points. This is the scenario of which second one. What we are going to discuss now is for the first one. What is the first one? Encrypt multiple letters of plain text. How we do that? The best example is the Playfair cipher. What is this Playfair cipher is doing? It is taking the same, which is 5 cross 5 matrix, and along with that, we need to give a keyword. We need to give the keyword. Remember, the condition is that keyword should not have the duplicates. That means no alphabet should get repeated in the keyword. That's the condition. So how do we do that? So imagine that I have taken the keyword called monarchy. My keyword is monarchy. So I filled my 5 cross 5 matrix. This is my 5 cross 5 matrix, and I call it as Playfair matrix. I call it as Playfair matrix. And first fill the alphabets with the keyword and the remaining alphabets of the language. So MONARCHY. For the remaining cells, what I am doing is I am filling with the remaining alphabets of the language. B, D, E, F, G. What is that IJ? What is that IJ? Why we have IJ? The reason is you have 5 cross 5 cells, 25 cells, language of 26 alphabets. So you treat I and J as same. This is that logic we saw in this particular cipher, right? Polybius cipher. So your Playfair has come from that. Now this is the logic to encrypt. All of you are able to follow? Post lunch, fine, right? That is so good that makes you drowsy? Not that, right? It's not that so great that makes you too drowsy. So after taking that lunch, I understood, okay, people will not go drowsy. I don't think you will go drowsy, right? Right. So monarchy. So then you take the matrix. The logic goes this way. What is the logic? First one, you take 2-letter pair from the plain text. So that means you have a plain text. I am picking every time how many alphabets? That means what is my block size? 2. So it's a block cipher or a stream cipher? Block size of 2. So take two alphabets. So in case when you pick the 2 alphabets, in that 2 alphabets, imagine if you have repeated letters, then push 1 letter to the next block and fill that place with X. So imagine you have the text as balloon, BALL, right? LL is the same alphabet. So push 1 L to the next block, fill that with the filler character, that is X. So LX, LOON. That's how I arrange my blocks or arrange my plain text. So these are blocks of plain text, right? So this is how then actual encryption starts. There are 2 plain text alphabets. If they are in the same row of what? Your Playfair matrix, then substitute them with the alphabets that are right side to them. That's the first encryption process. Example is, imagine you in the plain text you have AR. Where this AR are coming in the Playfair matrix, A is here, R is here. Are they in the same row? They are in the same row. So what is the rule says? Substitute alphabet with the alphabet that is right side to it. For A, what is the right side alphabet? For R, what is the right side alphabet? Yeah. So R, R. Okay. Next, the encryption. For the encryption, is it that they will come into the same row always? No. If they are in the same column. If they are in the same column, so M, U, they are in the same column. So replace, or you can call it as substitute. Okay. Substitute with the letter below it. say mu. For m, substitute with c. For u, substitute with m. Mu, cm. Okay. So, row wise, column wise, if they are in same row, same column. No sir, they are not in the same row, same column. How do we do? So, if they are not in the same row, same column, otherwise that means substitute by the letter that lies in its own row and the column occupied by the other plain text. Substitute with the alphabet that lies in the same row and the column of the other alphabet. What does that mean? H's. Where is H? H is here. Where is S? S is here. Right? They are not in the same row, same column, my plain text. So, I need to substitute these alphabets with the alphabet that lies in the same row. For H, what is that is in the same row? That is B. And the same column of that other alphabet. So, that is this. Okay, B. And for S, the alphabets that is there in the same row and same column of that other alphabet, that is P. Okay. Are you able to follow? So, this is called Playfair cipher. Now, because of this, what happens? Number one, you need to understand. It's a block based cipher. Number two, what is the key here? It doesn't have key. The key is the matrix and the keyword. Okay. Rule of that making matrix is known to everybody.
Then the keyword.
It is the keyword. Look at the matrix. How the matrix has come. We all know that it is from the alphabets. But what is that first alphabets? The keyword I choose. I choose monarchy. You choose some other alphabet, other keyword. The rule is keyword should not have repeated alphabets. That's all. So you can take any keyword from the dictionary, right? So that forms the key. Now tell me whether it is symmetric or asymmetric. Symmetric because you should use the same key matrix there. Number one. Number two. Is it a block or stream? Because every time you are taking two alphabets, so block size is 2. Right. Now, is it monoalphabetic? Why? Yeah, so the point is your cipher alphabet is decided for a plain text based on what?
Based on 2 letters.
Other alphabet in the block. Imagine if one alphabet is having some alphabet in the block, cipher alphabet of that first alphabet is based on what is that other fellow who is there. That's why we should have always a good companions, right? So now point is this particular cipher is not a monoalphabetic. So one plain alphabet can get multiple cipher alphabets, right? Which cipher alphabet is decided by the other fellow in the pair, right? So this is called Playfair cipher. You can see the online implementations of the Playfair cipher. There are plenty, right? So you play with them, Playfair cipher online implementations. They are available online. Now, if you see, still from monoalphabetic, Playfair can mitigate the challenge of the single alphabet characteristic. What is that single alphabet characteristic? The alphabet E is a repeatedly occurring one. The single alphabetic characteristics we can mitigate. But the point is that natural language has diagrams. There are two alphabet strings that comes repeatedly, 3 alphabet strings that comes repeatedly. So these things would make the room for plain text structure. Next, there is one more cipher called 2 square cipher. Okay, 2 square cipher. Look at the 2 square cipher. For this, you can create, you need 2 matrices. You need 2 matrices. Both matrices of the Playfair kept vertically. Can I keep it vertically, not horizontally? You can keep horizontally also. Okay. Now, you need to find the first letter of the plain text in the top matrix and the second letter in the bottom matrix. That is the rule. Rest everything, see. You see your plain text. What is the plain text? Attack at Dan. Remember, so you see the first matrix, it is created with the keyword called falcon, and the second matrix again is created with a different keyword. Okay. If you observe here, there are again multiple ways of handling it. IJ cell, you can keep IJ in the same cell. Otherwise, you can drop one alphabet called Q. So this makes that point. You said, right, the way my matrix is come. So there are 2 ways here. Number 1, your IJ comes to the same cell, or I can drop an alphabet called Q and you can have your IJ. So I can drop an alphabet. So it all depends. Okay. But only thing is that the way that is done at the encryption side should be known to the decryption side. That's the challenge. That should be, otherwise it would be problem. So now point is, you have the first matrix, then second matrix. Now you have your plain text. Attack at Dan. So how do you do? So first, what happened? What happened? Divide into pairs. 2 alphabets. Then what we need to do? I need to encrypt. What is the rule says? First letter of the plain text in the top matrix. Where it is? Second letter of the plain text in the bottom matrix. Where it is? Right? Now we need to, what we need to do? Encrypt. So for A, what is the alphabet? For T, what is the alphabet? Is that clear? Is that clear? You need to choose 2 matrices. For that purpose, how many keys are needed? How many keys are needed? Playfair, it is only 1 keyword. 2 square cipher, you need 2 keywords. Then take the plain text, divide into 2 alphabets, pick each alphabet, check the first alphabet in the first square, second alphabet in the second square, and the corresponding elements. This is called 2 square. There is 4 square. There is 4 square. The 4 square, if you observe, this is called plain. This is cipher. And this is plain. This is cipher. Okay. So all caps are the ciphers, squares, and all smalls are plain squares, plain alphabets. So how do you do? Imagine you have same, take 2 alphabets. Alphabet is TE. in my plain text. From where T is coming in the plain text for the first one, that is where here. What is the second alphabet? What is the second alphabet in the plain text? E. So I have TE. T is here. If you could not see this, this is T. And where is E? E is here. So what are the cipher alphabets? For T, it is capital T. For E, that is W, TW. Is that clear? Can you try for the others? So take an example, AI. 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 Where is A in the plain text? Here. And where is I? Here. So what is the corresponding cipher for A? This M. And fine. This is called 4-square cipher, which is extended on top of Playfair cipher. Are you able to follow? So yes or no, yeah? Good. Okay. Next you have Hill cipher. Wherein which you represent plain text in the form of a matrix. Okay, plain text is represented in the form of a matrix. Obviously, if you observe so far, we have actually played with alphabets. Now, from now onwards, you can't just play with the alphabets. Rather, you need to convert them to the values, decimal values, and then play. Right? So, put the plain text in the form of a matrix. That means, the decimal equivalents. And you have the key matrix. How the cipher text is produced? C is equal to plain matrix into the key matrix. Right? Is it what type of cipher? Multiplicative cipher. So the C matrix, the cipher matrix is equal to P into K. When I say P into K, all these things are with mod 26. That should be there. Now, when you do the decryption, what you should do? What is this K inverse? Multiplicative inverse of K. That's the reason why you see here K matrix and K inverse matrix. So, inverse of K should be used. Inverse of K should be used for decryption. K is used for encryption. Inverse of K is used for K value you look at, K inverse you look at. So, key used for encryption, K inverse is used for decryption. Both are different only, right? Both matrices are different. Can I call this as asymmetric? How many yes? Why?
Because K inverse can be followed by K.
The same case.
No, my question is it symmetric or asymmetric? Symmetric. How many says asymmetric? Because my K matrix, if you notice, is not equal to K inverse matrix element values. Can I call this as symmetric or asymmetric? It is symmetric. The reason is same key. K inverse has come from K. It is symmetric. One should not think that my elements of K inverse are different with my elements of K and hence they are symmetric. No. Okay, because whatever asymmetric says, K1 is not equal to K2. Right? But that is not that applied here. What we say even in the case of symmetric, that is the reason why I said C is equal to P plus K mod 26. P is equal to C plus minus K mod 26, right? So there K minus K in the case of additive, K inverse in the case of multiplicative, it is for symmetric. Okay. So Hill cipher. So key matrix of Hill cipher should have what? Multiplicative inverse. So you need to choose those matrices that have multiplicative inverse, otherwise you should not choose. Next, we have one-time pads. Next type of ciphers are one-time pads. One-time pads are a kind of unconditional in the sense are a kind of ciphers that are different from the ciphers that so far we discussed, in the sense that they are having no statistical relationship with the plain text. What is that statistical relationship? If you look at the Caesar cipher or any other monoalphabetic ciphers, what is the issue I said?
You can analyze the frequency and
Frequency of the alphabets you can analyze, right? But one-time pads, such frequencies can be mitigated. Okay, how do you do that? Imagine there is a language having 8 alphabets. I am saying imagine there is a language having 8 alphabets. What are those alphabets? These are the 8 alphabets: E, H, I, K, L, R, S, T. English alphabets only. I am just telling there is a language with 8 alphabets. All these 8 alphabets are represented as 000 to 111. Right? So you write any word using this language, what will happen? They will have the alphabets from this particular language itself, right? So imagine you have the sentence. What is the sentence? Hail Hitler. All the alphabets have come from the same language. Any other alphabets are there? No, right? So what we did, you've written the binary equivalents of each of these alphabets, right? Binary equivalents of these alphabets because you have it. Then pick the key string, It's a key string, randomly generated string. I say it is randomly generated string of length equal to the size of, this is my plain text and this is my key size. I produced it randomly. Then how do I do encryption? Perform only P XOR K. So 0 XOR 1. So P XOR K strings. Now tell me, is it a block cipher or a stream cipher? Stream cipher, right? Because you are taking alphabet by alphabet by string. If you look at the bitwise operations we are performing, what is the operation? XOR operation. What is the alphabet? What is the value you got? Is the XOR value. And 110, what is the corresponding cipher text? Is that S. So this is my cipher text. So how do I decrypt? Take the cipher, apply the key and perform bitwise XOR. You get? What you get? Plain text back. Okay. Can I apply AND gate? Can I apply AND gate? OR gate? Why I should not?
because there are two correct mappings points to a single letter. So like 1 1 and 0 and 1 for an organ will both give 1. So many to 1 mapping will not be deterministic.
So what is that, reversible operation? What is that reversible operation? XR is the only reversible operation. The point is, you take 1 1, you get 0. Wherever 1 1 0, 0 1 1, 1 1 0. So you can reverse it back. Now look at the AND gate. Is there any ambiguity there or not in the AND gate? So you can't use AND OR operations, while doing this encryption process. So you perform only the XOR. Any minute change that leads to the change in the meaning of the sentences. So it's a one-time pad. The point is that it is having no statistical relationship because, you are able to, if you are able to generate, what you should be able to generate? This. What is that? Random key string. Where it should be generated? At the sender side. And it should be shared with the receiver or generate the same key there also. Okay, this is called one-time pad. So there is, based on this one-time pad, you have a cipher called Vernam cipher. Next, another interesting ciphers are called polyalphabetic ciphers. What is this polyalphabetic ciphers do? We said what? Monoalphabetic, right? What is monoalphabetic? This is polyalphabetic. What is polyalphabetic is doing? It follows a set of monoalphabetic substitutions. It's not that it follows one monoalphabetic. It follows multiple monoalphabetic substitutions. A key determines which particular rule to be chosen for a given transformation. That we will see. What is that? The best known polyalphabetic is the Vigneri cipher. What is the Vigneri cipher is doing? It is doing multiple monoalphabetic substitutions. Multiple. Tell me one example for monoalphabetic substitution. Caesar cipher is the best example. What it is doing? It is doing 26 Caesar ciphers. What is meant by 26 Caesar cipher? Can you tell me what could be the 26 Caesar ciphers? Tell me the rule. C is equal to P plus 1 mod 26 goes P plus 2, P plus 3, P plus 4. These are all multiple Caesar ciphers, right? That's what is the Vigneri cipher is doing. So this is the table that it uses. This is called Vigneri table. Okay, this is called Vigneri table. These are all plain alphabets. These are all cipher. These are all the key. This is plain. This is key. And what are all the inside is the ciphers, cipher alphabets. Now, notice this table. What is that you observe? What is that you observe? Is it Caesar ciphers? Is it multiple Caesar ciphers? What is this first row? P plus 0 mod 26. What is this? P plus 1 mod 26. See, my A is 0. Means A is substituted with one shift. B. That's how your table has come. Vigneri table has come because of that, right? So now, how do? You take the plain alphabets and key alphabets and the corresponding cell value. So imagine my plain alphabet is Y, My key alphabet is X. What is the cipher alphabet? What is the cipher alphabet? Is the cipher alphabet that is there in the junction of these two alphabets. So when Y is my plain alphabet, X is my key alphabet, what is the cipher alphabet? So it is polyalphabetic because it is doing multiple what? Monoalphabetic ciphers, number one. Number two, is it stream or block? Stream or block? It is stream. The reason is you take every alphabet of the plain text, map that with key alphabet. Because you see what you did here? I took an alphabet of plain text and corresponding key alphabet produces according cipher alphabet. So it's a stream, number one. Number two, another thing. Is it that, imagine I have a plain text of 100 alphabets. Is it that my key also would be of 100 alphabets?
Not necessarily. You can repeat the key
Nobody will, because are we able to remember more than 5 alphabets of password? We are facing difficulty. So no key would be of as length as plain text. So how do we do? So you need to repeat it. Now imagine you have a plain text called "We are discovered, save yourself," and the keyword chosen is deceptive. What we do is we repeat the keyword so that it is equivalent to the length of the key is equivalent to the length of the key is equivalent to the
plain text.
yes. Once you have that, what you do? Once you have what you do? My plain alphabet is W, key alphabet is D. Look at the table, corresponding. Right? Right? So now tell me, stream or block? Stream. Symmetric or asymmetric? Symmetric. Substitution or permutation? How do you decrypt? Again, what you will have? I have cipher, I have key, and of course table. So take my, take an example, this is my cipher alphabet and the key is D. What you do? Go to the corresponding plain alphabet. It's a fairly reverse process. Okay. So with this, what is that we are able to achieve? Number one, we are able to achieve polyalphabetic cipher. No more one-to-one relationships. Right? No more one-to-one relationships. So your keyword is taken care of, bringing the key. Right? So to maximum extent, it could, mitigate the letter frequency problem. But what happened? See, sometimes when we design these ciphers, right, these design of the ciphers will bring some vulnerabilities. Okay, I'll just talk about these important terms. vulnerability, threat, attack. Are they same? Have a different meaning? What is vulnerability? So, in any system, you will have a weakness. Okay? When you write a code, there may be some vulnerability in the code that is induced intentionally or accidentally, nobody knows. So, vulnerabilities means weakness in the system. What is a threat? What is a threat? What is a threat? Huh? Dangers, likelihood. So you can formally call it as set of potential circumstances that can cause harm. Have they caused? No, not it. They can cause. What is attack? What is an attack? Realization of the threat. Thieves are always there. Thieves would be there always. Can you eliminate thieves? That's not possible, right? You can't eliminate thieves. Thieves would be there always, right? What could be the, that is the threat. Threat you cannot eliminate, remember. Number one. Number two, what is vulnerability? If my door is not locked properly, that is vulnerability. And if that door is not locked, is identified by the thief, and he made enter into the system, it is attack. So for that purpose, first of all, that thief should know that my door is not locked. That means you have to do vulnerability analysis. Right? So vulnerability analysis will give you what are all the weaknesses in the system. Okay. Now the point is, if as a owner, if I know that there is a vulnerability there, what I will do? I will try to make some attempt to secure it. Before me knowing it, if that guy knows it, then threat is always there. Before I know, the attacker comes to know about the vulnerability. That is one aspect. The second aspect is, the moment he came to know that there is a vulnerability and he made an attack. What is that? It is called zero-day attack. What is zero-day attack? The moment he came to know about the vulnerability, he could make an attack. Okay? No second thought, just made an attack. So vulnerability is the weakness in the system. Threat would be always there. Attack is realization of the threat. So what is security about? What is security about? Sorry? Decreasing the weakness. Then preventing threats. Number one, you can't prevent threats. Can you manage something that the thieves cannot be there? No. This is not Ram Raja or anything, right? So it's not that. So, no, this is not that. So thieves will be there always. So what is that security all about is that in order, and again, somebody said minimize vulnerabilities. Minimizing vulnerabilities is another different ball game. The point is that security is all trying to see that these vulnerabilities are not being exploited by the threat so that he makes an attack. Vulnerability is there and it will be there. Managing the vulnerability is not the job of security. mitigate, the minimizing the vulnerability is the not job of the security. What is the job of security? Is to see that though there is a vulnerability, attacker is not, that means the threat is not exploiting that vulnerability and he is realizing that. That is the job of security. Okay. So any security measure you take, whether it is cryptography, you see their fundamental functionality. You will notice that they are not actually, you tell me, I am having an encryption algorithm. What is this encryption algorithm is doing? Is it that it is eliminating the threat attackers? Attackers are still there. Is it that it is minimizing my vulnerability? No. What it is doing is, it is making the attack difficult. Okay. You for that matter, you closely observe their fundamental functionality. So that is what happens. So keeping these points in mind, now what happened is, we brought this cryptography algorithm called Vigneri cipher. Now, vulnerability is the weakness in the system. There actually it is not that, but there is fundamentally a vulnerability in the technique itself. What is the vulnerability? What is the vulnerability? Imagine it says this: if two identical sequences of the plain text alphabets occurs at a distance which is an integer multiple of the keyword length, then they produce identical ciphertext sequence. This is a potential vulnerability. We will see what is that. Two identical sequences of plain text alphabets, if they are occurring at a distance of integer multiple of keyword length, then they produce identical ciphertext sequence. With that, what will happen? Attacker will come to know what is the length of keyword. Attacker cannot get the keyword, but attacker comes to know about length of the keyword. If he knows length of the keyword, what will happen? His key space to search to perform the brute force gets decreased, right? So what happens in this? Imagine, take the same example. My plain text is, we are discovered, save yourself. What is the keyword? Deceptive. Look at this. In plain text, there are three alphabets called RED. Is there any repetition of that RED sequence in the plain text? There is a repetition of that same sequence in the plain text. Where this sequence repetition has occurred, if you observe, the sequence is separated by 9 character positions. From this sequence to this sequence, you see that there are 9 characters. What is the length of the keyword? 9 characters. Deceptive is the keyword. Length of the keyword is, I am not talking about the key length, I am talking about the keyword length. What is the length of the keyword? 9. And this sequence is getting repeated with a separation of 9 character positions. Because of that, what happens? They produce identical sequence. Now the attacker comes to know what is the length of the keyword. This is what it is meant by what is the amount of information available to the attacker. Right? We saw in the beginning that ciphertext only attack, known plain text attack kind of things, right? These are all based on what? The amount of information. This is another piece of information available to the attacker, right? So the attackers will be able to do it, provided, what is the condition? The condition is, if two identical sequences of the plain text occurs at an integer multiple, in this case the integer is 1, the integer multiple of keyword length, right? if that happens. But still it is a vulnerability, right? Is it mean that this condition will not be satisfied? No, this is the fair example. So how do you mitigate that? Is the thing is you take the keyword, but you need the keyword of length equal to the key of the length equal to the length of the plain text. So how do? You take the keyword and append plain text to the key. Plain text is added to the key. Then what happens? That's all. So you do the encryption as usual with the help of Vigneri cipher. Is that clear? So far what are all we discussed are substitution ciphers. Okay, what is the goal of substitution? Confusion. There is one more operation we said. What was that? Permutation, which we also call it as transposition. What is the job of that? How it is doing transposition? Permute the positions of the alphabets in the text that is produced, that is given. Okay. So the order of permutation provides you key. Okay. That called transposition ciphers. The best example is the rail fence technique. So what you do is take the plain text, permute the positions. How do I permute the positions? Is put that text in the form of a rail diagonally, MEET, like this, and read horizontally. When you read horizontally, MEA like this comes. So arrange them in the form of a rail in the sense alphabet down, again alphabet down, so that diagonally, and then read horizontally. It produces the cipher text. So when you notice from here to here, what is changed? Positions of the alphabets. Which position to which position is based on the technique called rail fence. There is one more technique. Imagine I have the plain text like this. What I can do? I create a matrix. Take the matrix based on the size of the plain text you have. So imagine I have the plain text like this. Fill the matrix. Attack is postponed until 2 AM. But still, I have some cells which are, my text is not filled. So I fill them with the filler characters. Right? So then what I do? Pick the key. I pick the key. So this is my key. 431257. So that means what would be my cipher text? I read in this way. 1, 2, then 3, then 4, and so on. So that means my cipher text would be TTNA, right? Then APTM goes. So how do I read is decided by what I did? I played with the plain text that is given. Have I considered all the alphabets of the language? No. Right? That is called single transposition. I have double transposition. Okay. So what I do for that? Take the plain text, put it in the matrix, read through the key, get the cipher text. Then what you do? Again you put it in the matrix, because we are talking about double transposition. That means you transpose second time, right? So So you take the ciphertext, this is the ciphertext produced. If you remember, this is the ciphertext produced in the previous one, right? This is the ciphertext produced in the previous slide. So the same ciphertext is taken, put it again to the transposition, and then apply the same key. Now this is the one which you got as the ciphertext. Okay, so the same key is applied. Are you able to follow? Double transposition, just transposition, that's all. Okay. There is one more transposition cipher which is called geometric shape cipher. What is the geometric shape cipher says? The sender writes out in the plain text in rows and then maps a path. Okay. So what is the plain text I have? Attack the beach at sunrise, right? So I wrote it in the form of rows. Then what I should do? Map a path. So this is my path. So I started from here, goes this way. So then what is your cipher text you get? ESIHT right? Are you able to follow? This is called geometric shape cipher. Now what is the key here? Shape, mainly shape and the way you have arranged, right? The way you have arranged. See this, the way of your arrangement and the shape that you have done forms the key. Are you able to follow? This is a kind of what cipher? Am I using all alphabets of the language? Changing the positions of the alphabets based on a shape, that's all. Is there any mathematical logic all these things? No. Just crude way of arranging things. Okay. Now look at this. This is called rotor machine, which is part of that particular, the cipher machine that was used in the Enigma. Okay. So this is, again, there is no mathematical logic or anything. There are typically 3 motors in that machine. So what it goes is, if you see here, these are all my plain texts, okay, A to Z. These are all my ciphers, okay, the last one. So my plain, this is my cipher, right, the output. Now it is this. I enter, see this inside, if you notice, these values are all fixed. So take an example, this 24 is mapped with here and then this is mapped with 22. That is fixed. This is called wiring of these motors, that is fixed and it is varies from one particular Enigma machine with another Enigma machine. So the point is, when two communicating parties, when they are using Enigma machine, what it should be is, the sender and receiver should have the same Enigma machines. Okay? They cannot have 2 different Enigma machines. They should have the same wiring, same internal structure. This is the structure. So take an example, what happens, your 24 is that A is mapped to, in the second rotor is to 22 and then further it is mapped to 13 and the output is I. Okay. So for A, this is the structure. So you press A, one operation you have done. Then what happens? With one stroke, or that means one input or one keystroke, what happens? This motor rotates. Second motor, third motor don't rotate. So you see here, that's why it is called fast rotor. This is medium rotor, this is slow motor. So the leftmost is the fast, because the moment you hit one alphabet, it produces and it rotates. So you see here, once A is entered, you get the output. Then what happens is your next keystroke, your fast rotor rotates. See here, what is the rotation happened? 24 is moved to the next position. See here, 25 has moved to the next position. So second position is 25. Now it is the third position, right? Now what is the first position? The last position has come the first position. Are you able to follow? Now this is for first. Second, again fast rotor rotates. Third, fast rotor rotates. Like this, it rotates for 26 alphabets. Then for the 27th one, which rotates? First and medium. Are you able to follow? Now, again, for the next 26 positions, medium, slow remains the same. Then medium rotates. So when once again the medium rotor rotates for 26 positions, which one rotates? The slow rotor rotates for 1. Okay. So this is the internal structure of the Enigma machine. The point is, again, it is unique to the machine, machine to machine. So if Alice and Bob want to communicate, they should have the same Enigma machine, because the internal wirings are different. Okay. So this is how that, typical rotor system of cipher machine, which is electromechanical rotor based. There are multiple versions. What we saw is one version. There are multiple versions of rotor machine. So which type of cipher? Substitution or transposition? Substitution or transposition? Okay. Now, so with this, we stop the classical ciphers. What we are going to discuss all is the modern ciphers. Okay. So if you notice, have we observed any cipher which is both substitution and permutation? I repeat, have you noticed any cipher which is both substitution and permutation? Have you noticed any cipher which is both stream and block? All modern ciphers are, number 1, all modern ciphers what is the other one I said? They can do stream and block. If you do stream and block, what you achieve? Both confusion and diffusion. So substitution and transposition. How do they do? How do they do? All modern ciphers. What are the modern ciphers? Say symmetric. DES is one of the modern cipher. Triple DES is a modern cipher. AES is the modern cipher. What we are using currently is the AES, Advanced Encryption Standard. Now they have both substitution and permutation operation or transposition operations. So how do they do? In order to do that, they're dependent on S box, P box. In order to do these operations of substitution and permutation, they're dependent on S box and P box. What is S box? Called substitution box, and it says what is to be substituted with what? What is permutation box says? Where to put this bit to which location? That's all. Okay? Are you able to follow? This says what to substitute. What is P box says? Where to shift, where to keep this bit, which location, right? Are you able to follow? So you need to understand, because the moment you go to these ciphers of DES and AES, you see S box, you see P box. So the job of S box is to say that, hey, look, put this there, or substitute this with that. The job of P box, please put this there. Okay. Are you able to follow? There are three types of P box. One is called straight. Another one is called compress. Another one is called expand. Straight P box. I have 64 bits. Your P box says where these 64 bits to go which places. Output would be of length 64 bit. What is the compression box says? I am giving 64 bits. It will also tell where to put what, but the output would be less than 64. What is that expansion? I am giving 64 bit. Output also through permutation only, but output would be more larger. That is called. Then the obvious question. Sir, compress, I compress or I expand. Straight, no issue. Compress, expand. When I do decryption, what I should do? When I do decryption, what I should do? Reverse, right? So the point is, are there reversible operations? They are supposed to be reversible. Anything you do, if it is not reversible, it is non-decryptable. Okay. So with this, we will stop here and have a break, and then we go for the modern ciphers, not today. Okay. Right?